Hi on Instagram, hi on YouTube, and on Facebook. Today we are talking about how do we maintain balance in society and maintain as human beings and balance for ourselves as an individual. So how are we gonna do that, right? So it's definitely of importance to elaborate a little bit on that. It is a starting discussion for today. Simone Claire here with True Better You, your consciousness and natural healing expert. So, well, let's dive into the discussion, hopefully, that is inspiring you to think about, since that might be a little bit tricky to put just in a couple of minutes, right? So we all agree on that. But I was, inspired, to talk about that, because I think that is of high importance if you want to become yourself engaged in society. I do think that a lot of people are suffering from being isolated and separated, and they can maybe sense themselves as an individual, yet don't know how they would function in society, in a bigger group, so to speak, social group, in the social web, so to speak. I mean, fact is, without that, we evolved from the animal kingdom and grouped us as in society or in civilization, we wouldn't have the ability to become humans. So society is an expression of being a human. So with all the qualities of a human. And in society, we express our highest ability, our conscious ability, through work. So to anything we can do, we express that through that. So with other words, we when we grew up from that, from our natural source, so to speak, from the animal kingdom, so we evolved from that. We created then civilization, and with that, it's actually a very stable state of how this body functions, the tissues and organs developed. There's actually a very stable state. So it's not so easy to change. If we as society are changing to an unhealthy state, then might be of more, it takes probably a little bit longer to correct directions in that way. But besides that, so yet as an individual, you still, even though that we as society, you're part of society that created a really stable ground also in society. So it's really tough to bring certain societies out of their structure. And we don't want that, of course not. But what I'm saying is that you as an individual are functioning in that society. So you have your place, and some people may feel they are out of place. Well, that's what we are going through all together, I guess. And we need to find who we are in the place you are at this point, to have less suffering on the planet, and also have that high rate of death where you are more pulled outside and not cannot replenish yourself. Then this is what we want to avoid as much as possible, prevent as much as possible as the individual itself, so that the society at large can function as it does right now. So we need to understand that there is a substance, that from that substance that in the whole universe everything is created from. And that is, I imagine more like a jelly type of substance that is filling out the entire universe. And it's so even and pure, there's no movement on, so we were not able to recognize it so easily. And from that state, we as humans have features, special features that make us to create a form, as you know, having now a body and having besides the body, the essence of us, having also a vital force energy is chi, and from that we also have a spirit, or in Chinese traditions called Shen, and or an informational state where everything is accessible as information. So we are made of, or this manifests, that substance manifests in us as those three stages, as the essence, as chi or life force energy, and Qing, or Shen, sorry, and spirit. And that is when we want to create an improved state, when we want to develop and evolve further as humans, we will need to work on all three of those aspects at the same time, because they are tightly interwoven. They cannot exist besides the other. So it is not that you can have only your physical body. It's not an option. It's not an option to have only your emotions or your vital energy. It's not an option. It's not possible that you only have your spirit, right? So it's all working together. There are different expressions of that substance. So now people with, let me call it as maybe best described, familiar intelligence. So that's what we all know, how we have been raised. People with that familiar intelligence, they are still in a very natural state. As you know, we come from the animal kingdom, so we have all the programming of the basics from nature and the animal kingdom. So we have a brainstem that is holding all this information quite good, and all our cells are following a natural progression. But I mean, we do also have, besides the animal kingdom, we have the brain and the mind, and that is the subject. That is that what is able to actually command the rest. That's not of the animal kingdom. So, and the most people are using their so-called familiar intelligence in order to stay in that natural state and maintain that natural state. Instead, what they should do as humans, we want to improve with higher levels, to improve to higher levels of that consciousness. So they are not able to use the power of the consciousness to command their life activities, and they are also not knowing themselves. So for that, we do need to adjust our spirit. We do need to adjust the chi and essence. So those are important to really make a human out of us, right? So with human qualities that evolve and are able to include nature where we come from. So it's including your mother and father, it's where you come from, including that, yet transforming and create something completely new. So most people, as I said, need, or if they want to develop their spirit, when they use only their familiar intelligence, then they need to engage in things that makes their heart kind of calming down. So they need to engage in the external world and create something that they feel at rest in their heart. And that is, I mean, that's not happening, that they can commit to that until they have reached a more stable level of our material life. It's just a natural process. It is what it is, right? So, and as long as you're young and you don't have your house that you've wished for, or the family you wish for, or the food you need, I mean, the basic essence for your life, if you don't have that yet, then you will probably more engage into the outside world through work, through engaging in community, contributing in that way. Yet we also know when that happens, there's a lot of stimulations happen, and not everyone is happy to be stimulated that much. And not everyone benefits very well from that. So most people will start to be emotionally taxed, so to speak, by all that what's outside. So just looking at work, right? So you will be thrown in a community of people you never met before, and to understand the common goal, and then you have to deal with the baggage everyone brings. So with every thing that every person brings to the plate, so to speak. So if you have people, they had a really bad upbringing, so you are involved in that, clearing that, or somehow bring it to a level of, you can work with. So I mean, the most people get somehow emotionally in that process, and then also their spirit becomes very unclear and troubled. And what we don't understand as society is that emotions are not our enemy. Emotions are our friend, helping us actually to remind us that we need to maybe slow down a little bit and go inside and pay attention. Or we may start to need to protect ourselves so that not everything that you have been maybe giving out is not coming back. So you need to protect this function. This is chi moving. Wherever your intention is going, your chi is flowing. So if you are having your intention outside, helping other people, that might come to the detriment to your own health. You need to get emotionally in order to wake up to, hey, wait a minute, you are putting yourself out and you haven't dealt with your own internal energy, so you're blocking something, so the energy is moving more outwards. If you want to help, so that's not the place to help from. You need to be full first. You need to be in your core first, and that's often comes with very dramatic changes in life, dramas that appear. In order to wake you up to that is necessary. Nobody can make its function or its mark on this planet if you empty yourself with your high capacity. There is no way. So it is quite more intense for people not to help if they know they are not in the right place yet. I went through myself, right? So it is quite challenging, because what happens is you withdraw, you will go into your own healing space, you learn more about yourself. It's always a journey inside, never outside. And to have that courage and that resting peace, so to speak, is quite challenging in the society. So I hope that society picks up that this is a requirement that everyone has, and we cannot work every cell of the body to its death. So that's what society at the moment needs to learn in order to make the health of the individual correct. So if we are working the individual to its death, so there's no capacity to create as a whole entirety. And that is hopefully learned soon. Otherwise, we have a huge change already happening for the better. So I'm excited to see that changes are coming, making people more alert. I'm not happy about that people suffer, don't get me wrong, but I do see that those changes haven't been created naturally, or say consciously. Those changes aren't happening now naturally because we have to, otherwise we are more troubled as humans, and affecting, because of our conscious ability, affecting not just ourselves, we are affecting every life on planet and life in the universe. So we want to become, alert to how powerful we are in our spirit, and that is a way inside. It's not at the outside. This also means if you're following any religious group, that's a great starting point, because you will need to develop your Shen, your spirit, and this informational state. And it needs community of like-minded people supporting each other and creating a healthier and more constructive thinking pattern, and filling themselves up with a lot of life force energy. So those are requirements in order to be healthy and creating a healthy society. Right now, our society is quite sick. It's reflected in the individual as well as at large. And I hope that we stop cutting and trying to burn things out and trying to medicate things in order to keep going and coping with that. It's not a really pleasant process, yet it's a healing process. For that, I am really grateful and thankful. And as more people become alert to who you actually are, what for an ability you have, what for a powerful ability you have, as more you can use it. So most people are using their emotional state not as a state of getting alert, so getting inside. You need a break, you need a rest, you need to rectify with spirit, you need to rectify, are you doing the right things in life? Most people do not take that. Most people are venting out their emotions and grieving about things, which is a natural state. So that's from our programming as from the animal kingdom. And that's all right. So that's creating comfort. So there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I'm not coming from that place. But what happens in their spirit, in their way of how spirit is functioning for them, they are actually losing control or power. And that's the last I want you on, right? So we do want to make sure that you are getting more self-power, and means you need to have, time where you have abilities to rest, where you can contemplate, meditate, however you want to describe that, and really focus on what is about your life, paying attention. What I see often happen is if you don't, so then that will be experienced as a type of loss. So any type of loss is probably because you didn't pay attention. It's not to punish you. It is that a way of telling and talking that whatever you're doing is not contributing to your highest, to your spirit possible that wants to come through you and inform you and the rest of the world through your activities that you're able then to do. So, it's really important that we can benefit from our practice, so increasing our chi together, our life force energy, together with our spirit, informed by the upright information. And then that brings actually a more stability into your system. That quiets actually the emotions when you do. And most people have no idea that when the body is not right or the emotions are not right, that you can, increase that with life force energy through practice or with your consciousness through focus and attentive practice or contemplation. There's several ways of doing that. The way how I'm really successful with is I'm practicing Qigong, which is cultivating Qi and maintaining the state, and then also being able to store life force energy in the right way so that you can fill yourself up with Qi and then also allow that your heart calms more down, your emotions are in general are more stable, and so therefore your spirit is not so troubled, it's not unclear. So your mind gets more clear when the emotions are calming down. And then, you don't need to go only to the food if you know that you're low on energy. Right? And most people are just knowing, I'm feeling low on energy, and then they try to fix everything with food and with nutrition and with sleep, which is great. They are all parts of it. Yet, we will need to increase our level of Qi, our life force energy. Without that, you may have experienced that. You ate the very best thing and still you didn't heal. Well, there are still obviously things that haven't been looked at or cleared out brought to integration, and then it's sufficient, and therefore you're still losing your life force energy. Your mind still is cluttered and you will be not able to focus and bring your highest and best into this world. So I'm hopefully inspire you to have abundance of Qi. So means you are doing and practicing what you can do in order to bring that Qi flow happening inside of you. From the outside, it's possible to, not just from the inside, but also from the outside, to bring that in, to ignite your body, your Qi body, and to fill that and flow that more, stabilize that more, so therefore you're more protected. And as a result, you will feel not so lured into emotional and drama situations. You will find yourself suddenly is like, yeah, I can hear their story, but I don't need to go into it. And that's not a more in conscious experience, it's a state. This is not a just consciousness experience. So like you don't have to put your mind on and say like, I don't want to experience this drama, not right now. So no, it's not. It's just happening because you're more full. And then, well, if you know how to bring that in and store more in your body, you also will need to learn how to not lose it again, right? So those are two important points in the practice that I see needs to happen. Well, there's quite some chi that can be lost by engaging into a lot of emotions and trauma that can be lost, or losing your ability to hold composure, and getting more and more into the down spiral, which then also goes in your level of qing, we say, in your essence. So you may then, because you stop to cope with your emotions, you may go into doing something that are not really helpful for your spirit. So say you become a workaholic, or you become an alcoholic. You try to deal with the situation that you feel and think you cannot change. But here's the point: as more as you don't go downhill, spiraling down, in that, as more you will engage in those activities that are resembling exactly that. So like fornication, I mean, every day could have an effect on your mental capacity, since you're losing valuable qing. I am not saying you should not have any sexual activities, don't get me wrong on that. It's everyone's call. But in order to create your family, you will need that. That's fine. Yet, if it's for pleasure, then you want to look what is the things that you need pleasure about, and why is that? So in this way, you can draw backwards a little bit and see what's actually needed, what's underneath that's a want and a need that cannot be unwanted or unneeded. So that is of way more importance to realize what are you doing and what do you try to accomplish with that. So maybe you find then other ways to accomplish that, fulfilling that need once you know it, right? And then you're coming back up if you're choosing more upright situations or practices. So when I'm doing my practice, I know that I will replenish my level of energy, I will replenish my clarity, and therefore are able to receive the information for my next step. And that took me a while to get there, and I encourage you to start, every time you get into this direction, it's for sure, it's more the upright way, it's more the fulfilling way at the end of the day. So just want to inspire you. I come from a traumatic background, so I moved myself through hell, and every step was worth it. So to come out on the other side, knowing what you don't want to touch anymore, and knowing what you want to go deeper into, in order to brighten and lighten. And I can tell you that my emotional state is still, it was my state to work with, so to speak. So that was my place. I really needed to pay attention. This comes from my historical line, my generational line, and that has been actually handed down the way how my parents also have been doing things, and all the information has been imputed. My whole body has been affected by that from birth on. So it doesn't mean I have to keep it. And so it is a longer process, of course, if you work with something that deep. But you can start, and you can start to feel already better. You can start with doing just practices that help you to feel more invigorated, not just like workouts. I'm talking about coming inside of you, and then take, when you know that place from the inside, how to focus perfectly in the sense of bringing more energy in. Then you go into and see how you can do your workout on a more conscious level to draw more energy in, so that you can go through a certain hubs, so to speak, right? So everyone has their ceiling, right? So they can go that far, and then the physical body would make a break in the workout, right? So like, I can do further, you know. Those are the points. As more as you go on it and using your consciousness, engaging fully into that, as more you can break through. And then we have breakthroughs that we have world records in running fastest, jumping highest, and whatever for records there are, right? So I hope you enjoyed that stream here. So see you tomorrow, and we'll see what we talk tomorrow about. Okay, lots of love and light to you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.